Welcome to Let's Listen, a video podcast in which we have conversations with IBMers about their own disabilities and their careers within IBM. I'm Andrew Williams, your IBM host, and I am interviewing Rajesh Mehta from my IBM Let's Listen studio. Rajesh, who joined IBM India in 2005, currently works in Mumbai, India, and will be sharing with us the many roles he has completed within IBM. You are listening to the first part of a three-part series with Rajesh, and in this first part, we will discuss and focus on Rajesh's early life and his challenges. So welcome, Rajesh. Maybe you can, hey.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Andrew. And, what a pleasant surprise or pleasant afternoon this today, that I'm getting this opportunity to talk to you. So thanks to you and thanks to all the listeners.
Thanks so much for being here, Rajesh. Maybe we could kick things off and you can tell us a little bit about your early life, your family, and especially your mother and how she influenced your attitude towards independence and overcoming challenges from a very, very young age.
Oh, wow. So you are actually taking me to my childhood. So thank you for doing that. Um, in my family, we are 5 members. Of course, my mother, father, and I have two elder sisters. Um, Obviously, I am blind as I speak with you. I'm totally blind. I cannot even see a shadow. But I was not born blind. My as I remember, I must have been around 8 years, and when I lost my sight. Being only the child, of course, it was a very, very big shock to my parents and to my entire family. But I still remember my parents decided not to cry because they said the life is long and we can still try. And that's when my mother, who was a paralytic patient, rather, she was a bedridden woman, um, she actually took that challenge. And in those days, I still remember, we were not even having many blinds or a special school in India. Forget about integrated education that we are talking today. But then when I was being taken to a school, I was being asked that I need to stay there. And being a very, very pampered child, I never even thought in my dream that I had to leave my family or a home for a few days in a week, to stay there because it was a boarding hostel, right? But then, my mother said, no, if we need to educate my child, they have to take those bold steps, right? So my mother clearly showed that overprotectionism sometimes actually, does not help much, right? It's rather degrowth. So of course, they took me there. And then, I still remember Andrew, and I must recall those incidents in ninth standard or 10th standard, during the vacation, summer vacation. My mother said, okay, when are you starting to go on the street or on the road on your own? And my sisters were like, have you gone mad, Mama? And that's when she had a question saying, no, from next year onwards, Rajesh would be going to the college and there will not be any boarding or a hostel. He'll made to travel, right? And considering the education system out here or considering the overall structure out here, Rajesh needs to be independent, right? And then my sister questioned saying, Mama, don't you understand that we are here for him? We will hold his hand, how it would be taken socially, because if I'm walking alone, people may start naming my sisters, family, etc., that they don't even take good care of me. But that's when again, my mother, she said, if you want Rajesh's success or Rajesh's futures needs to be progressed, he needs to learn how to walk on his own using the white cane. And that's where, Andrew, I remember I used to go alone. My mother used to send my sister, though I mean, we used to consider her like a very, very strict woman, right? But then, of course, she had that soft corner for all the children, And then that's where, when my sister used to follow me, when I used to get back to home, they all used to tell me that this is what I should be doing. So it was a, kind of a learning training throughout. And then, of course, I decided to go to the one of the best college, where again I faced quite a lot challenge because my schooling had done in a local language, a regional language, and I had no clue how to speak in English by then, right, till my college. But then, my mother said, see, you have come this much. You must now start learning English. But that's when, kind of I started speaking much into English. And I still remember it was such a broken English. I'm sure if I even use a 2 or 3 sentence, all of you may start laughing at me. But that's fine. That's what I tried doing. I failed many times. But my
Mm,
mother
mm,
always planted the seeds, saying that you never fail. It's only that you create your own learning classes, right? So after doing a graduation from a St. Xavier's College, which is one of the most prestigious college here, um, the biggest question in front of me, what would I do in my career? What do I want to, kind of do it? And that's when, kind of my mother reminded me my childhood dream, saying that, don't you want it to become a pilot and fly high in the sky? I said, but mama, how would I become a pilot now because I'm blind? So she said, you may not become exactly a literary pilot to fly the airplane or a helicopter, but you can still make your co-passenger fly very safely. You can create a path for them, right? And that's when she again planted the seed, saying, because in those days, Andrew, here in India, people with vision impairment only used to do very limited job or a limited field, and so-called, anything related to music, nothing beyond music, much,
mm,
right?
mm,
And she
mm,
wanted me to break that path. So though I was very, very musically sound, I was also having a musical degree. I was able to earn very well through music. But then she said, no, you need to break the path. You need to be the catalyst, right? And that's where I decided to go through the MBA route. I picked up the MBA degree from one of the prestigious college, and I will
Is
never.
that St. Xavier's that's the college, or is it a different institution?
No, I did my MBA from Tata Institute of Social Science. I
Uh-huh.
did HR degree from there, human resource. And I must tell you this. I remember when I got placed at IBM first time, and when I went by public transportation bus to my home from the college, to share this good news with them, my mother had come to pick me up first time ever in her life after she became a paralytic, sitting on the chair.
Hmm.
And I was not even aware that she is coming to pick me up. The moment I got down from the bus, I just got a hand of the lady, and I said, Mama, you are here. And that's when, she hugged, I hugged, and it was a big, big, kind of celebration moment, emotional moment, because she said that you did it. You did it, what otherwise she wanted me to get on to. So
Mm,
these were my few of the, kind of precursor to my entire life.
yeah, yeah. That's fascinating. I mean, I'd like to understand a little bit more about the environment within Saint Xavier's, what that was like. Um,
So let me tell you, the environment at Xavier's, right, per se, cannot be, kind of set the tone or cannot say that it would be an environment throughout India. Because Xavier's is a very, very different, exceptionally different college, and the kind of environment which they provide. You know, many a times we say here in India that is poverty or a di- can financial affordability can be a biggest disability.
mhm,
And I think Xavier's completely rules out, saying that for no one, for anyone, financial affordability can never be the disability. That's what
right.
they put in your mind. That's
Yeah.
what they influence. And I think that's what they did with me. Because I remember I was having so many students coming from so many affluent families, well-to-do families, but I never realized, they never made me realize that I cannot afford something which they can. Never.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
fact, Xavier's, I still remember that they never considered me as a blind or as a disabled person or a student. I'll
Mm,
give you one very interesting example and to explain this. I remember I, was getting down from the public transportation bus. I didn't realize I was getting down at the, signal, the
yeah.
traffic lights, and the road was on. The cars were running. I met with an accident. I had a fracture.
Uh,
And when I called my principal, and he simply said that, how do I know that you are not lying? In those days, there was no cameras, unfortunately, or no
mhm,
WhatsApp, the way we can send the photograph or simply could do the videography. But he actually made me come to that particular college in that particular fracture position. But then when he saw, and then the way he took care of me, I still
mhm,
remember the way
mm,
he was checking on me. And then I remember when after 21 days my fractured, the plaster removed, and I was required some physio and all those things. He said, "Now you're all fine. You can start walking, running." And he made sure that he will, in fact, come for those walking with me. And we used to talk so many different varieties, diverse topics, right? That
mm,
otherwise I would have missed, during those break time. So I think, in fact, whenever I spoke saying that me being a blind, how I would able to, clear my MBA, etc. And he used to say that, why not? And he used to start talking about this solutioning, right? I remember once I had told him that, kind of couple of my economic graph I can't understand because, those curves, how I would able to see them. And he
mm,
said, okay, give me some time. And very next day, he came with a what a fantastic idea. He made couple of his student from other class, not from my class though, those maps or those graphs with the thread. And he made me feel saying that, okay, this is how the y-axis looks. This is how the x-axis looks. This is how the zero or equilibrium looks. And I believe that if I can made to touch something and to feel something, why would I not learn it? So this is what I guess Xavier's environment did. I think made me absolutely confident, saying that I can do anything that I wish. It gave me that particular motivation, saying that nothing can stop if I am passionate about.
mhm,
And it gave me that platform, or a maybe communication power through which today you can see my English.
That's fascinating, and considering the challenging road system that Mumbai has, and I've experienced it myself, I think the story is even more fascinating. But unfortunately, that brings us to the end of this first part of the Let's Listen podcast with Rajesh, and I'd like to thank him for his time today. Keep an eye out for the link to the next episode in the series, and if you have any questions, feel free to post it below. Otherwise, find more information about the diversity program at the link below. And as always, thanks for listening to us today at IBM.
Thank you, Andrew, and thanks everyone for your time, for listening.